The humidity really brings my curls out.
I think so. I think we're all good. What's up, y'all? My name's Henry. I love music. This is where I talk about it. We are in the first home studio interview I think I've done this entire journey. I got some really special guests next to me. Who do I have?
Tealsky.
Tealsky. How are y'all doing?
We are doing lovely.
Good.
Very solid. Very solid.
Very solid.
This is also the first 4-person interview I've done. I think the most people I've had at once is 2. So y'all are hitting some records.
I think this is like one of the rare times we're all in the same room.
Yeah, that's actually my first question is y'all are like a pretty remote band when it comes to regular production, like regular everyday life.
Yeah, so we started out with, I was at Waco. These 2 guys were in tech, and then Colin, yeah, you're up in Dallas, then I ended up going down to Austin, talked to this guy into coming down to Austin eventually. And he made his way down to New Braunfels, and this guy's still in Dallas working on getting him down here, but for like
the last holdout.
Yeah, the last holdout. But for like most of the band's life, like we've all been in different cities.
How does that affect y'all's creative decisions and artistic anything related to the band? Because it's a lot easier obviously when y'all are in the same room or the same studio making music together, but having to be at times hundreds of miles away. How does that affect you guys?
I mean, like it can be tough, because like for example, the song we did, Red Eyes, like I don't think we were like any of us were in the same room for that until after it was already out.
I hadn't even met Colin yet. Like,
really?
The record came out and I'd never met him.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
In addition to that, too, I would say like Red Eyes would have to come down, and I had to finish all my parts in one weekend. And
wow.
That's all I had on the song.
It's very rare to see a band at this size be that far apart at times, but it's crazy. Yeah, the lengths that y'all will go to get a song right. That's super sick.
I think it like speaks to like how much we care about it to like
for sure
keep doing it, because like it's definitely times where you're like, I'd be cool if we could all go hang out, and like write songs together and practice every week, but it's like you gotta like take what you can. I mean,
yeah, I mean it's just been a lot of like logistical hurdles we've had to overcome, the last like year and a half or so. Just making it to shows. I mean, me and Kai drove 7 hours to a couple Austin shows. That was rough, but it was worth it. And I think everyone here is really dedicated. So
yeah, does that kind of strengthen y'all's bonds and y'all's creative vision when you are together, being that is kind of a rare occasion?
I think it's one of those things is like, because we have, so little time together when we do, like we try to make the most of it and like, savor it. And it's like, sometimes like the writing doesn't happen in the room. We bring the ideas, but like nothing's ever really like done until we all play it together.
For sure.
Everybody puts their touch.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's just because we do have such a limited amount of time together, whenever we do get in the same room, like we know it's time to work. And even whenever we're putting a song down, getting everything recorded, it's changing until that final upload.
Yeah, for sure.
In reality, it's just blowing up our group chat, and all the time in between our sessions is just memes and whatever we feel cranked out in a 4-person group chat until we actually get to see each other.
For sure.
But everything besides that is just in that chat.
Yeah, and I mean that's how you got to do it. Y'all are a 4-person band, and it's always really interesting to talk to bands that have kind of, you can tell there's an equal spread of the vision or the creative decisions, not where kind of like, it's all like there's a specific front man or there's a specific like image or person of this band. Do y'all have separate things that y'all bring to the table to kind of make that work?
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess like some context here is like there was a time where we had a different lead guitarist, different drummer, and then they left, and there was a time where it was just me and Matt, and so like we were holding that down, and then Matt Colin, Matt brought Kai in, and like they brought a lot to the sound. I mean, I don't think like Tealsky really was Tealsky until like they were in it, like his drum sound's incredible. His guitar playing's great. Matt has, the Medina magic on bass. Like, everybody brings like a unique element. Like I would never want to do it just by myself, because like they're always adding stuff and thinking of things that like I can't come up with, I mean,
I was also gonna say, like, we all kind of enjoy different music on our own. So whenever we get together in the same room, you can tell there's a lot of different influences that we're kind of blending together for our music.
Yeah. And exactly what Kai said, specifically for guitar, Christian and I have very different play styles and very different music
Right.
interests. And I say that lightly, but very different. And we both bring completely different sounds and inspirations to the song. And I like adding my touches, and Christian provides his perspective on that, and it really blends nicely, I think, at least.
Right. Y'all are really good at this passing the mic situation. Y'all all share the time pretty equally.
You know? And I will say too, like, they also, like, you know, pull a lot of ideas out of me, you know, because, like, there's a lot of times when, like, you know, me and him will be sitting playing guitars, and he'll play something, and I'll add to it, and we'll kind of bounce off each other till we get, like, a song. Like, there's a new one we're working on, really excited about, where he actually, like, wrote a majority of it, you know.
Oh, wow.
Like, that we kind of use that as like a springboard to add something new to it. But I think, like, you know, everybody brings something unique, kind of like Kai was saying, is like this guy, like, he has a lot of, like, classical and, like, you know, I'll let you talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, you know, I've started from all over the place. I started with guitar actually when I was about 18, and then kind of moved over to bass.
Classic bassist story.
Kind of moved over to bass, and that's kind of been my role, but I've grown to really love it. And one thing I'll say about this group too is everyone is important in it. Everyone is equally important in it, I would say, and it's how we've been able to succeed, I feel like, with everyone being here. So
For sure. Teamwork definitely makes the dream work, as corny as that is, but y'all share the spotlight, y'all share the reins of the band very equally, and it's very prevalent in the music, and it definitely adds a lot to it.
Yeah, like, I'm a big believer of, like, you know, like, yeah, I sing, but also he sings, and, like, I don't think there's really, like, a front man or, like, you know, this guy and his band. Like, it's a democracy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we all share the sound, share the spotlight, and, like, I mean, there's like jokes. I mean, like, you know, but you know, there's, like, the whole you know, GL thing and all that, but, like, really it's a democracy, and, like, you know.
Right. No, yeah. Understandable.
do you need to explain that?
You gotta say what
Yeah, so the GL is a little inside joke for Christian here as the group leader for the band. Not actually, but it's just
Democracy.
It's a little inside joke we say sometimes.
It's a democracy, but y'all have to ask him for permission sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Understandable. All right, I want to get into the music, because it's, like I said, it's very prevalent in your music that you all have an equal amount of the artistic expression. But when it comes to, like, the history of y'all's music, the second song y'all ever released, I know the whole band wasn't, y'all all weren't together when Four Walls released, right? It was
So, like, it was me and him, and we had a different lead guitarist and different drummer. They weren't in the group yet.
Mm-hmm.
It came, like, right after that.
Right. Right. That's what I remembered. In terms of, like, that being y'all's breakout, y'all's hit, that it was a year after Bonita's release, but that early, like, into the band's lifespan, did that affect y'all in ways that people might not expect, either positively or negatively?
I mean, I think it, like, there was a period in time when, like, there almost was no Tealsky, and I think, like, we were not expecting, like, the success of that. I mean, like, you know, I came out during college. I would just sit in my room all day, like, posting TikToks, trying to get to blow up. And I was like, oh crap, it actually, like, took off, you know. And I think, like, that made us go, like, okay, like, there's something here. I mean, I remember first time he was playing with us, he goes, this is lightning in a bottle. Like, this is a great song, you know. And so I think, like, it sometimes also, like, you know, having kind of, like, you know, most of our success has been, like, online. Like, there definitely are times where, like, it doesn't, like, I'm sitting in my studio, I'm editing a song, and, like, it doesn't feel real. It feels like a number on the screen, you know. But I mean, I think it's something that kind of, like, pushed us to keep going at it and go not give up on it too early. I mean,
Right.
I don't want to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just say, like, kind of post Four Walls, like, at least for me and Christian, like, so maybe a little bit of pressure to try to kind of follow up and match that success with what we were trying to put out after that, which was Alibi. And I mean, I think ultimately we kind of came to the conclusion, like, you know, hey, as long as this is something we're happy with putting out, we're happy with the work we put into it, then, like, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah, and we were lucky enough I met Kai through college, and we jammed a couple times, and then, you know, all of a sudden we didn't have a drummer, and I was like, hey, you know, I know a guy that plays drums, he's pretty good at it, and ended up jamming, and then that's how we got him in here. So
I mean, like y'all's perspective, I'd be interested to, like, you know,
Yeah.
Pass it off to y'all. Give
Yeah.
them some time.
We got here after all of that. Obviously, like they were saying, I would say there is definitely an element to it, like Matt was saying, where it's like trying to follow it up. Definitely trying to like keep that in the back of our minds, so it's not really affecting what we're working on as we move into the future. I know that I was already a big Tealsky fan before I got brought on. I was like waiting. I was like, oh man, I'm next up. Me and Matt actually we had a lot of fun playing college parties and stuff like that. But I knew I wanted to be a part of something bigger and just more artistically involved. Yeah, Tealsky is definitely very happy to be a part of it.
Honestly, to follow up exactly what Kai said, being more artistically involved is exactly what I wanted to do. And I was definitely the newest member of Tealsky, but just like Kai said, I wanted to take it more seriously. And around the time that their lead guitarist had fallen off, Christian and I started playing a bit more, and we started on the song Four Walls. I was basically plotting and scheming for that. Like that position we started playing, I started learning the song, and that was the first song I learned how to play, listening it back. Christian would send me videos of him playing, I would pick it up, and then it slowly just morphed into me coming to practices, and it wasn't like an audition, I kind of just moved into it. So Four Walls marked like the pinnacle of my start of the first song I learned and how I essentially got in the position I am.
Yeah. It's super interesting to hear both perspectives of like y'all who kind of saw the success as y'all created it, and then y'all coming into the band like with that kind of bar set already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were definitely on the outside looking in whenever that sort of stuff was blowing up, but it just made it even more powerful to be a part of it once we were.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think too, like we try not to compare. We treat like for the longest time we treated every song as like a separate project, so like we try not to be like, oh, this one didn't get as many like streams as like Four Walls. I mean, kind of my view on like that is like, with Four Walls, like part of the reason it had gotten so successful is because like I was in college, wouldn't do anything. I could just work on TikToks for like 8 hours a day, and then I grew up, then I like have a job where I work like 40 hours a week now, and like I can't sit and post TikToks all day.
Right.
So it's like, it kind of too is like we make the music like, for us. And then, like, if people like it, awesome. If they don't, like, that sucks, but, like, not for me, So, like, for us, the audience, like, we want people to enjoy it and, like, we want them to connect with it. But, like, if something doesn't pop off, like, Four Walls did, we're not, like, concerned. We're just proud we got another song out.
Yeah. And I think that's what's cool about y'all's discography specifically. I think, like you said, each song is a separate project. It's really cool and it's really easy to see the experimentation y'all take from, like, literally the next song, like Alibi, from Four Walls to Alibi, it's a completely different spin on the genre. And then you go upbeat with Daisy, and you go back down to that kind of mellow shoegaze with is it Stone? Yeah. Okay. Stone. For some reason I thought that was the wrong name, but y'all.
I called it Alibi until probably like 2 weeks ago. I'd be like Alibi Mix 3, and they'd be like, this is Stone.
I remember y'all previewing it at the show y'all did last year in Dallas. That was like one of my favorites that y'all had made.
Thank you, man. We've got a lot of new stuff coming too.
That's good.
I'm sure we'll get to that later.
Yeah,
rush your line.
No, you're good. I definitely have a few questions about that. Even with all this experimentation, all the different genres, did you have a sound that you wanted to kind of pander to, or this like not necessarily shoegaze, but like this view of rock that you wanted to put the band towards? Or is Tealsky more about like experimenting and finding what works for all four of y'all?
I think it's like a little bit of a mix of both, right? Is like we draw a lot on our influences to kind of when we're making stuff, but like there's continuities through all of it. There's like a, I feel like there is like, you can listen to something and know that's us, but like, yeah, we do kind of like variations, we try not to limit ourselves, but I would say like, a lot of us grew up listening to like, alternative rock and grunge. I mean, I can't say the same for these guys. I don't speak for them. I know like they like some different stuff too, but we've always been like, we like playing, loud, like heavy, gazy, like that's kind of it. We try not to make like to pigeonhole ourselves into one sound, but I think because like we all have our own unique styles, you hear that in everything. I mean, I'll let y'all.
Yeah, I would say that like if there's one like common thread between everything that we've come out with the four of us, the version of Tealsky that exists today, it's that it's fun. Like all the music that we if we're not having fun playing it, like we'll stop.
Yeah.
We're not gonna put anything out that like we don't absolutely love. So.
Definitely, and especially in I think specifically in times we're in our practice room and in just East Austin, and we'll go in there without any game plan in mind, and we'll create something just unique to each of us, and we'll play it, and it may be completely different from anything we've tried before, it may be experimental, but at the end we can either continue with that or scrap it entirely. I mean, it really is just depending on what we're feeling in that moment, and there's plenty of times where we go that, and that's formed a song out of a jam practice just like that.
Now, in terms of the first album that is being recorded, I'll get into more of the specifics of that, but would you say that it's more that the whole project is going to be more experimenting between those different sounds, or did you kind of found something to carry out through the whole album?
So the concept of the album goes back to I think I was in high school when I started writing it, and it's changed over the years, and it's grown up with us, because the first version of the album was an EP I wrote in high school. I think Daisy was on it. There was Half of Four Walls, and there was kind of stuff that didn't really mix, Red Eyes. Yeah, Red Eyes was on there, and kind of recently when we started being okay, we've really got to finish this. We've, taken some stuff out, put some new stuff in, and make it a little more cohesive in a sense that it's a rock grunge, but also it ends with a folk song, we wanted it to be thematically cohesive, but sonically there definitely is a lot of variation. Every single song sounds different. None of the songs sound there's there's some albums you listen to where there's kind of a vibe throughout, where you put a song on, kind of the next one's going to sound a little similar. It's a different song, of course, but it's there's plenty of bands that do this. Nothing wrong with that either, But ours is every song sounds just a little bit different, It's a different style, or we're pulling on a different influence, and that certain scenario. But it's evolved over time. It's grown up with us,
Yeah, to kind of build off of that, I think that this first project is kind of us finding what our sound is, with the four of us. So like you said, there's going to be a lot of different sounds all throughout, and we've kind of talked about, okay, our sophomore release, that's going to be the one where it's going to be a little bit more, like he said, cohesive sonically.
Yeah. You recorded the drums. No, go ahead.
Well, no, it's exactly what it is. The second one too, and plus there's a lot of parts that took influence from previous members and going forward. And like Christian said, as you listen to this next album, it's going to include a lot of things that we've had in the vault for years now, and then everything that we've created within the past couple months. So you can see in the album how much the song or the sound varies from song to song. And of course, the next release, the next album is going to be definitely a blend of similar tastes, just whatever comes to mind.
Yeah. And I mean, you see that a lot with music, especially within the last year or two, of bands like y'all experimenting through different genres, through their projects, but kind of sticking to one umbrella of kind of a sound. And I think it works out really well. And especially for you guys that have obviously your credentials to show that that's something that you can do. I think that this is going to be a really interesting project, which I kind of already soft launched, but let's talk a little bit more about the album that is almost ready.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of, with all of our friends, it's kind of a joke of I think there's this meme one of his friends made where it's a skeleton, it's waiting for the album bottom text. I think we've been I started working on it probably 10 years ago, and then we've started some of the songs on it, my parents grew up listening to me sing, you know. Mm-hmm. And so it's, people have been waiting for a while, and part of that is when we were in college, we could only record during summer and Christmas break. That's when we're all together in the studio, So it's been a long time coming, But it's gonna come out this year. Where it's gonna be kind of half of the stuff. So, we've been kind of releasing singles, so some of the stuff that we've already released is gonna be on it. Some new stuff is gonna be on it to kind of round it out, make it a little more cohesive, I mean, the title of it's gonna be. Is it cool if I leak?
Are we gonna leak it?
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to wait for 5 more months, But it's called "Is It Everything You Wanted?" That's the working title right now.
Good stuff. You heard it here first then. Is it hard to I mean, you said some of those songs are 10 years old. Is it hard not to get sick of them, or hard not to get this project that you've been building for this many years? Is it hard to not want to change it all?
Definitely, new material. Yeah.
For sure.
But like for me, it's like, you know, like there's this one song called Brunette Part 2 that like I've grown up playing, and like I never get tired of it, you know, 'cause it brings you back to when you were younger, you know, like it brings me back to memories of like being in my room writing it, you know, and kind of like figuring out guitar and writing songs. So like, I mean, yeah, you know, after I'd say like with the show type of thing, there are definitely times it's like, all right, we got to throw some new stuff in the set, you know, like. But it's kind of like the story of Tealsky is like just working with the situation we're in, you know, where like we don't have like the privilege of a lot of other bands where we can just always be together,
right?
Be writing new stuff, so it's a lot more intentional. I mean, I'll pass it to Matt. I don't, you know, hog my mic.
You're good. The only thing I wanted to add, really about this album, is at least how I see it. I can't speak for them. Is it's almost like the telling of the story of us as a band and us as friends. I mean a lot of the songs that we've been putting out have been, you know, kind of sonically different a little bit. You know, Bonita Daisy on one end and Four Walls Stone on the other end. You know, like kind of different sounds, but really like I feel like they encapsulate different emotions you kind of feel going through life, especially like our age group, like being young, being in, you know, high school, college, you know, relationships, friendships, and things like that. And that's something I've been really proud of us. Like what we put out is I feel like each song has been able to capture some sort of a certain feeling and a certain kind of emotion, and you know, the kind of the hope and idea with this album is that when we put it all together, it'll kind of tell a cohesive story about life and about us as friends.
For sure. Was Brunette Part 2 the one you previewed last time I interviewed you? Okay, that's what I thought. For context, this was summer of 24.
It was back when you were at UTD
Yeah.
radio still.
Yeah.
We go back. This guy's been in my house.
Yeah. I grew up in this house. Not actually, but but when I did student radio in 2024 at UT Dallas, I had the first. Not only was it the first in-station live interview, but it was
First interview I've ever given.
Yeah, it was with this guy. And that kind of sparked the whole, like, it's kind of what started this and like the whole past year and a half for me that's built all this year. So this is like a very full circle moment.
I mean, that room back there, you can't see it on camera. That's where like it all started. Where like me, Matt, you know, our other friend, like that room is like where Tealsky started. Like, you know, which is like, this is my, you know, my parents' house, and we're back for playing the show. But like, I thought it was kind of cool. We're doing the interview right where it all, like, you know, Tealsky happened. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You could drop the address in there too if you want. This isn't necessarily an album rollout, but I think the process of creating an album, not being scared to like take your time with it, is something that is kind of a lost art, especially with like upcoming artists. It's really common to kind of flood your audience with music, just like throwing stuff at the wall, whatever sticks. And sometimes that works, but a lot of times you get songs that are like 50% of your actual effort.
Yeah, like I'd kind of say like we were influenced by like, you know, albums. Like we listen to albums. We don't really listen to singles, and like that's how we view music. And like that's kind of like our song. Like it takes us, you know, we'll work on a song for 3 or 4 months, you know, which is the quicker side. And Four Walls, we worked on it for like 9 months, you know.
Yeah.
Which no reason to be doing that. But we worked on it for a long time.
Right.
It came out good because of that. But like the one time we've only ever met with like any like a label once, and I think this kind of says a lot about, you know, kind of how the current industry is. When we met with them, they were interested in us. They were really nice people, like not trash talking them, but they were like, yeah, so like we're kind of what we expect for our artists is like 2 projects a year, and we're like 24 songs a year, like that. We work on a song for like 3 months, and like sometimes that even feels too short. Like having to kind of go like, is it worth spending an extra week trying to get this 15-second bit perfect, you know, or just kind of live with it, you know? So like we approach music in a very methodical and like, you know, I'll sit there and listen to something like 100 times, going through making sure like every note like hits perfectly, you know, and sometimes it doesn't, but like we're very methodical with how we do it.
I definitely think, especially because for me personally, recording the last, like besides vocals, the last instrument on the deck, I have everything there. I definitely get really hard on myself when it comes to specifically what I want to play and how I do it. But like Christian said, as we go through and do things in phases and backtrack and change things up, sometimes things just don't go the way we want them to. Like sometimes things don't line up, you don't like it, you want to go back and change it, but it really comes down to getting it as best as we possibly can, and then we just have to let things be. And
yeah, I mean, I will say we've gotten a lot better with our workflow as far as getting things out quicker. We actually were able to batch, I think, the whole second half of this album, and we're, instead of doing one song at a time, we're doing 5. So that's all going to be ready to go for our slated release time of late summer, early fall.
Yeah, probably late. I mean, August was the original goal. I don't know if it'll be August. We're a little behind schedule, but we do everything ourselves.
Yeah.
The only thing we don't do ourselves is drums. We pay somebody else to do that, and we pay somebody to mix it. Yeah, record drums. He plays the drums. He plays the drums, but we don't do any Dave Grohlin around here.
All right.
But I have a little studio in my apartment I built, and we do all the recording, all the editing, we handle it all ourselves. We have full control of the process, I mean, Matt, I'll let you kind of, you want to make a comment there?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of back to what we were talking about earlier with the logistical challenges. That's definitely been something with, maybe not the most recent songs, but some of the earlier songs like Four Walls and Alibi and Red Eyes and Daisy and all that. Living in different cities and trying to record all that and plan that out was definitely challenging, and I know our release time, our time we took to produce the music and release it was not ideal at times, but I think a lot of it's been we've been learning, and then having these guys here has been instrumental in bringing us full circle and making our sound as great as we want it to be. So
yeah,
a lot of it's been a learning process, but I'd say we're really happy with where we're at.
Yeah,
so
that's good. Yeah, I mean, I just posted a video yesterday about how accessible music is now, and how there's artists that have money to pay an army of people to make their music for them, and then you go to the inverse and you have people like you guys that are doing a very methodical, very heartfelt approach to this kind of short attention span playlist, single oriented world of music that isn't super common, and it's just super easy to appreciate it when you see it.
Yeah, because I mean, with all of you following the music marketing guys, everybody's you should be releasing a song every 15 to 30 days and posting this many TikToks about it, and that's just not how we operate. We approach it old school, we're we're gonna spend 4 or 5 months on a song and make sure it's perfect before it comes out, and sometimes we can our reach, our traction can suffer from that, but for us, it's always just about the music, and you're right, it's a short attention span world. And then on top of that, kind of with the music industry now, I think back in the day, you had to be signed to a label, you had to have money to go in a studio, and now you can have a Focusrite and do it all in your bedroom, but everybody can do that now. So the barrier to entry is so much lower, but there's so much more out there. You kind of have to fight for attention in that world. And it's 6,000 albums came out in 1970, and now it's 2 million
right
a year,
yeah it's actually crazy the amount of music that gets released. Well, is there anything else y'all want to share about the album before we kind of wrap up? Anything else? It doesn't have to be about the album.
I mean, I think
The socials.
yeah, follow at Tealsky the band on Instagram. But it's been a journey. We've been working on this for, like I said, 10 years, and I'm excited to kind of finally see it come out and have a full-length project to present to people. And I think it's kind of feels like my life's work, their life's work, something we've all been working for. I was in that room when I was 15 dreaming of putting an album out, and now we're finally doing it. So that's huge for me. I'm glad I get to do it with some of my best friends in the world,
kind of what Christian said, we're really excited to put this out. This has definitely been something I've been thinking about for a long time, at least 5 years for me. So being able to say that we've put a record out is a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, for sure. All right, the last thing I have for you guys, I ask everybody this because kind of my gimmick for the whole channel, but why do each of you guys love music? We can go down the line.
Oh boy. I definitely Okay. Can you come back to me?
Yeah, I mean, at risk of just sounding like a total cornball, like it really is one of the most important things I think to, like, one of the most important aspects of being a human. You know, music is powerful. It's very, very powerful, and it has a place every single moment of my life. You know, it never stops. It's always something going on in my head, some new idea, some song that's stuck in my head, and actually being able to create and having an avenue to do that with Tealsky has been one of the best things in my life.
Definitely. And I would say when it comes to music for me, music is an emotion that is almost indescribable at times. And I think, particularly for me, playing the instrument that I do has fueled my passion for what I do, not only in this band, but also listening on my free time. It definitely invokes feelings that a lot of other things can't do, and being able to practice and contribute and share my version of what that looks like through this band and to the rest of our listeners is such a gratifying feeling. So not only listening, but being able to share our passion with others is something really to be proud of, at least in my opinion.
Matt, I'll let you go. I'll go last.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, like Kai said, it's a really powerful thing. I think for me personally, music has been really important to me at different times in my life. I had certain songs, certain albums that got me through really difficult parts of my childhood, you know, growing up, being a teenager, and even into adulthood. Certain songs I can listen to now and remember where I was in my life when I first heard that, when I listened to it. And I think a big thing for me, especially like with the songs Alba and Stone, like the ones I wrote and sing on, like the lyrics, a lot of that was like, you know, I had written those when I was going through really difficult times in my life. And, you know, obviously, you know, it's been a few years now. I'm past some of those events, but the fact that we can put something out like that and someone could potentially be where I was, where they're going through a hard time in their life and they listen to the song and they say, well, hey, like, you know, I've been kind of feeling these same emotions. This kind of connects with me. Like, that's just beautiful to me. Like, that's the most powerful thing about it for me, for sure.
I think kind of like to build off that, for me, it's like how I connect with people. You know, like my dad is also a guitar player. He didn't teach me how to play guitar. I taught myself, but he did teach me about like the equipment and gear and all that. So I'm proud of. But you know, like growing up, like we're always going to the guitar stores together, and like every Sunday when I call him, I'm like, oh, check out this new cab I got, or check out this new guitar I got. You know, and like with them, you know, like we probably would have been friends if it weren't for Tealsky, but I don't think we would have been as close if we weren't in like a band or like what we're doing talking now or at the shows. Like for me, like the most special thing is seeing people connect with it and kind of like interpret what I was going through when I wrote it into their own life and through their own lens. Like it's how I connect with people, you know, how it's like, it's my whole life, you know?
Yeah. All right. First Tealsky interview as a band together done. How do y'all feel?
I mean, it's like one of the rare times they say we're all in the same room, you know?
It's always a quick turnaround. Like, I drove in from New Braunfels this morning, and I'm going to be leaving tomorrow morning, but
yeah.
It's always worth it.
We always make it where we all came from different places too, just to converge here and of course having our shows, but we do it because for the love of the game, and we wouldn't want it any other way, except if Matt moved to Austin. But
That would be goated.
Anything you want to add to that, Matt?
Yeah, no, I mean, the Austin move will hopefully happen, but yeah, no, I mean, it's a great feeling to be doing this with these guys. I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else. So
that's beautiful.
Every time he even brings up like complaining about driving, he has to preemptively say, "I know you guys are gonna say move to Austin," because we've said it so many times that he just knows it's coming. He has to beat us to it.
I think that just means it has to happen.
The next step.
Next step
of the operation.
There you go. All right. Well, if you live in the Dallas, Fort Worth, or the Austin area, catch them at a show near y'all. I'm sure.
Also trying to do shows in San Antonio and Houston later this year.
If you live in Texas, there will be a show near you at some point in time.
We're gonna get that together.
Maybe even Lubbock. Who knows?
Yeah, we might come out to Lubbock.
I'd love to see it,
We
but
got some OGs over there.
all right. Well, they got a show tonight, so y'all have a good time. But I appreciate you guys coming on. It was
Thank you so
it was
much,
great to
man.
have you guys. We got to keep. I know. We got to keep the 4-person dap up in there. All right. Peace.